Welcome to Empowering Plans, a show dedicated to identifying waste and undue expense in the health benefits industry, discovering ways to maximize benefits while minimizing costs, and empowering employers, administrators, and consultants to emphasize, once again, the benefit in benefit plan. Today's episode is brought to you by the FIA Group, empowering plans since 1999. Now here are your hosts, the FIA Group's own CEO, Adam Russo, and Senior Vice President and General Counsel, Ron Peck.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of Empowering Plans with the FIA Group. I am your co-host, Adam Russo. Alongside me, as always, is my dear friend, Ron Peck. Say hello, Ron.
Hello, Ron.
And even though we did not want to bring her back, we had to do it. All the people are contacting us, emailing us. Ron, I want to bring something up, okay? Oh, by the way, it's Jen McCormick. Say hello, Jen.
Hi.
So Ron and I had a little contest this week. If you don't know anything about us, you'll realize I'm pretty competitive, I guess is the word. So, I was bragging all week about how I did a post on LinkedIn, and I got 9,000 views, and I got 16 comments, and I got 100 likes, and I was making fun of Ron. I was like, Ron, you could never get that type of feedback. And within the first 6 hours of Ron's, post on LinkedIn. Ron, you want to tell him what your response rate was?
Yeah, I think it was something like 10,000 views, 30 comments.
Don't lie.
Likes.
It wasn't 30 comments. It was less.
20,
just be honest.
26, round them up. But anyway, but Adam, and you did, full credit to you. You gave me credit. You said, hey, congrats, bro. You beat me this one time. And,
right, but you cheated.
I had to admit there and then that I did cheat. The link to our webinar, which is linked to the link on LinkedIn, for whatever reason, automatically populated the imagery with an image of Jen McCormick from our website.
It was a photo of Jen McCormick smiling. It pops up on your phone. Obviously, people are going to click it. People are going to link to it. It's just not fair. Mine did not have a Jen McCormick link. So I believe, and tell me if you don't agree with me, I believe that I still won. I still had the most views because I did not have a photo of Jen McCormick attached to it. I believe that's cheating.
So there's a Jen McCormick inflation element that we have to account for.
Right. I would say it's about 50% of the views.
Got it.
I would remove. So
I think it's racy. I like it.
Of course you do. Speaking of, everyone, just so you know, our webinar is going to be December 19th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have many photos of Jen McCormick available on that webinar, so feel free to register and join us on the 19th. All right, let's get into it. Ron, by the way, I want to mention, you look snazzy today. I mean, the shirt, it's ironed. Well, actually, not really, but it looks pretty good. I think Pat Santos, our producer here, I think he would agree. Ron looks pretty good. Well, the reason why Ron looks so great today is Ron and I are going to be the cover of the inaugural edition of, I think it's Free Market Medical Association's magazine, but they decided to put Ron and I on the cover. So we are having a photo shoot this afternoon. I mean, that's why I look even better than normal. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, but Adam, if they really wanted to sell issues, they should have put Jen on the cover.
Right. They could have put Jen. You know what? We could have just did Jen on the cover without us.
Yep.
Jen, you want to do it?
I'm not prepared today.
Oh, she has the leather pants on. Probably not a good day to do that. Anyways, let's get right into what we want to discuss. So here's the bottom line, folks. I love to talk to clients. I just love to talk, but talking to clients in the industry, third-party administrators, brokers, etc., it really gives a sense to us of what's going on, what are the pain points that we're seeing across the country. So I try to do about 5 client calls a day on average. And one of the topics I have recently brought up was we have noticed across the board, Jen has, and so has Ron, we're seeing more and more, I don't want to say stop-loss claim denials, but just more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Conflicts,
Scrutiny.
disagreements, scrutiny, review, audits.
More than normal. So I decided to go out to our clients and see, are they sensing the same thing? And they all basically said yes. And here's the key. I asked 2 basic questions. 10 years ago, what was the split between yourself and an outside broker of who was placing the stop-loss business for the employer group? And what I was told, on average, after speaking to about 100 different clients, yes, I did that over the past 3 weeks, 70% of all their employer business, the TPA themselves placed a stop loss 10 years ago, and only 30% through outside brokers. So they control that relationship. They control the relationship with the stop loss carrier for their employer groups. It was 70-30. Today, it's less than 50-50. Today, they're controlling 40%, with 60% of the stop loss being placed outside of their control. So a random broker is bringing in a random stop loss carrier, and they, as a TPA, being told, you have to administer this plan. Oh, by the way, this is the stop loss. This is the MGU that's going to be involved in that particular claim. So it's a decisive move where they're not controlling that relationship anymore. In addition, I asked, okay, so where are you seeing your conflicts? When you get pushback, when you're sending those cases over to FIA, as you all know, we handle them, what type of cases are they? Are they the claims that you control the stop loss relationship, or is it the outside brokers? And unanimously, they all said, it's the outside brokers. So the reason why they're seeing so many more conflicts is because they don't have that relationship with the stop loss carrier where they can say, hey, Bob, we got 5 groups with you. Can you help us on this case where it's a gray area? Because they don't have that relationship and it's being looked at strictly as a black and white issue, more and more claim denials, more and more scrutiny. And at the end of the day, even though they're not placing that stop loss, guess who's being blamed for it, Ron?
The TPA.
They are being blamed for it. It's a major issue that we're seeing. And across the board, my clients are saying that they expect that to increase, the number of cases that are being controlled by the broker to increase, because you all know, with the ACA, with Trump Care, with Obamacare, et cetera, brokers want to be able to control their clients. They're afraid of losing them. They want to make sure they have maintained that relationship. And being able to place that stop loss is a way for them to do so. Ron?
You know, Adam, you mentioned earlier my post on LinkedIn and the hypothetical.
Can we not talk about that anymore?
Well, I'm just trying to get a few more comments to make up for the inflation, thanks to Jen. But the comment, or rather the post, was about a scenario where an individual received treatment, ends up it's expensive, claim goes to stop loss denies. And I basically posed the question to everybody, so who's at fault? Who's at fault? And it's fascinating to see suddenly the finger pointing. It was like a game of laser tag. I thought for the most part everyone was going to say, aha, the problem was you didn't update the plan document. Who's responsible for that? TPA. And everyone was just going to say TPA. But the TPAs are saying, well, you know, it's the broker's fault because they told us we had to do this. The broker is saying, well, it's the TPA's fault because they didn't make the change. Everybody's mad at the stop-loss carrier because even though the plan document wasn't updated, the move was meant to save money, and shouldn't they be on our team? And everybody's blaming everybody else. And suddenly I can see this lack of coordination, which ties exactly to what you're talking about, that maybe a few years ago where they vetted these processes out before they even signed up the plan. They vet out the carrier-TPA relationship, how these things are going to coordinate and how they're going to mirror each other. Maybe this wasn't an issue in the past.
Jen?
So there's a couple things to keep in mind, too, as we're making the switch. There are a lot of people who like to have their cake and eat it, too. I feel like that's my favorite thing to say. They want to have the cheapest rates.
Because you like to have your cake and eat it, too,
I
Jen.
do. Who doesn't? They want to have the cheapest rates possible, but they want to make sure that everything is going to be covered. And they don't want to acknowledge if there's the possibility of a gap or the possibility that the stop loss that they have placed may not be the best and most comprehensive. And some people like to ignore it. Silence as acceptance. It is what it is. And there are others who want to say, is there an opportunity here for me to protect myself? And one of the ways outside of agreements they can protect themselves, which we have started to see more and more, is to have a review. And use a review as an opportunity to say, are you sure this is the right path that you want to take? Are you sure that based on this review of these potential issues, are you aware, are you going into this with eyes wide open? Because there's an opportunity to do this on the front end, before you sign any contracts, before you engage with that particular policyholder, to actually have a look at the document to see what your exposure is going to be. That way, you don't have to worry about having your cake and eat it too, because you know exactly what to expect.
So Jen's talking about a gap review, right? So we're trying to get many more clients to actually do those up front. I agree. But one of the questions I asked during my calls is, do you require the plan to sign any type of hold harmless agreement where you're saying, hey, listen, if the broker, an outside broker, brings that business into us, and now we're required to adjudicate using this stop loss policy, that you agree to hold us harmless from any gaps in coverage so that we're not being blamed as a TPA where it's literally a gap issue.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm saying. I know that, Ron, you want to jump in, but a lot of TPAs are actually using this review as an opportunity as part of that process to say, not only is this not something that I don't necessarily agree with, but here's why. So they have the evidence to stand behind it.
You guys are actually talking about basically the same thing, which is getting ahead of the issue before it happens. What's fascinating, and Adam, you mentioned when people send us cases, they're sending us the case after the conflict has already occurred. The claim's already been paid. Now there's a conflict, whether it's reimbursable. But Adam, you're talking about when you're actually signing your administrative services agreement with this plan, with this broker, and they want to bring their own carrier in that you haven't vetted and you haven't coordinated a relationship with them yet. You're basically saying, hey, there's no conflict yet. Nothing has happened yet, but based on our experience, we know something could happen.
Right.
Let's get ahead of it and agree on how we're going to handle it.
And nobody does.
Nobody does. And then with Jen, we're looking at the plan document. We're looking at the policy. There's no conflict yet. It hasn't happened yet. But we, based on our experience, again, looking at this language, we could foresee a problem happening. If you don't address it, you're now at least making it known that it's because you chose not to address it.
So a combination would be have a gap review done and add a hold harmless agreement if need be. So, Ron, I want to get your take on this and what type of feedback. So what we did was we actually created, is it a one-page document? How
That's
many
correct.
pages?
Yeah.
We created a one-page hold harmless agreement, and we sent it out to the industry and told people, listen, we created this document that's going to protect the TPA. It's going to protect the self-funded industry. It's going to make sure that brokers now are aware that there may be a gap, and therefore maybe they need a gap review. And we sent it out to the industry, and what we did was for our clients that we are the attorney, we are their ICE attorneys, meaning we handle all their independent consultations and evaluations as part of a per employee per month fee. We obviously gave that document, our hold harmless agreement, to those clients. In addition, if a TPA had already purchased our administrative service agreement template, we'd give them this document at a reduced rate. Ron, what was the feedback? What were the numbers? I mean, how much interest was there in this one-page document that literally was created from just talking to the people within the industry and seeing what the pain points are?
Unbelievable, Adam. Ordinarily, when we send an email out to the industry, we get thousands of out-of-office replies, and so it's easy. You just group them based on the title and just delete them. So you know all those emails you get in the first 5 minutes, chances are none of those are actually substantive responses, and you could just delete the whole group. Couldn't do it this time. Had to go through every single response, see which is the out-of-offices and which are the ones showing interest. And I kid you not, for every 2 out-of-offices, there was someone showing interest. So if I was able to delete 300 out-of-offices, there were that many people asking for a copy of the document or at least more details. So obviously we've struck a chord.
Right, because again, I think if you're a typical law firm, you don't want to be proactive in these things. And the reason is you get paid more money the more problems there are, right? You don't want people to not call you. If people don't call you, you're not able to charge a fee. So I think that's the fee difference, and what we're trying to do is we're seeing a problem in the industry. I don't see the problem going away. Claims are only getting bigger. There's more and more provider pushback. These things are going to just continue to happen. It's important that we address it.
Yeah, and one of the other things that we're seeing in response, which is not necessarily something that I agree with, people are saying, I don't take on this responsibility in my ASA currently. Why do I want to draw attention to something that I don't already do? Why do I need to hold myself harmless or indemnify myself for something that is not part of the services that I'm offering? And the response is, why are you trying to ignore something until it becomes a problem? Why not address it now? Why not be transparent about what it is that you do and what you won't do?
You know, ambiguities are generally interpreted against the drafter of the contract, and most of these administrative services agreements are being drafted by the TPA. So if there's anything in there that even someone in the most creative way could interpret that you're somehow responsible for the stop-loss relationship and for the conflicts that arise from it, you may be in trouble. So instead of hoping and praying that what you think the contract says is what it says, why don't you just nip it in the bud and get direct?
So this is something that everybody is going to need. This is not something that you should be ignoring.
If you need any additional information on this and to get a hold of our hold harmless agreement, please feel free to contact Ron Peck at FIA. You all know his contact information. And that's really all the time that we have, folks. And I just want to say a couple of things. One is we appreciate all the listeners, all the great feedback we've had over the entire year. 2017 has been an amazing year here at the FIA Group. We've made a lot of great friends and a lot of great strides in the industry. We're expecting our growth to even skyrocket more in 2018. This will be our last podcast for the year. I know everyone's, Jen, I see the tears in your eyes as you too, Ron. But I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, a Happy New Year, whatever it might be. I am taking the entire family and a bunch of other people to Punta Cana. It is like the only place in the Caribbean that was not destroyed by a hurricane. So we are going there. We'll be going there 2 days after Christmas, right through the new year. I'm excited. Beach,
Awesome.
no jackets, no snow boots, no snow pants, no kids crying because they lost their gloves for the 30th time in the snow. I can't wait. But on behalf of Jen, Ron, and myself, as well as Pat Santos, our producer, thank you for believing in our company and continue to empower your plans in 2018. Thank you.
Thank you.